Dawson Rider Review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Putty Patrollers Double Pack, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive. And for me, the least exciting Lightning Collection release so far. Probably the least exciting thing ever to happen ever so far for me. Let's go ahead and just quickly talk about the packaging though, because if you're into that, the Lightning Collection does offer some really cool packaging, and I really do like the art on it. My only real problem with it is this stupid bit here. Mega Rangers did the same thing, where it had this beautiful full art, and then you have this stupid little interruption. It's like, if you could just wait 3 seconds, you could see this stupid picture on the back. You don't need to ruin the front of it. It does have this on the side though, so I've seen some people have like shelves of like bookcase style, so you have that. So you do get the continued nice packaging. I just wish they wouldn't interrupt the nice art with that. So accessories wise, other than what's on them, they both get two sort of standard hands, which look like just kind of relaxed, or they're about to hold a weapon hands, but they have no weapons. And then you have the two lightning effect parts. This one's just kind of a boring little one you saw in there, can attach to the blade. And honestly, let me talk about this in a second. You have this one too, which I actually quite like. I'll put it on here in a couple minutes, which I think it's kind of funny though, because I think what it's meant to be, or at least in my head, what it's meant to be, is what it looks like when the putties or the Rangers will get slashed and sparks will come off of them, but it kind of looks like he's trying to be Iron Man but failing. But I think that's kind of funny. But if I'm being honest, I think I've mentioned this in a couple of reviews, I'm pretty sick of these effect parts. Unless it's something funny or unique, like, dude, I just hate these. I'm like, I'd never, ever, ever use them. They're just kind of getting in the way. I don't know how much budget it takes or how much they could save, but I would honestly only include them if they were something funny or unique. Like, they've so many of the same ones, and they all just end up in a baggie in my... Inserting this quick here because I almost forgot to show it, but this is what this looks like with this accessory pack on, and you can see what I mean, where it looks like he's trying really hard to be Iron Man shooting from it, but the way I see it is kind of supposed to be when they get hit with an attack. I kind of wish they would do one in the future where it was like the idea of them getting hit by an attack, but less loud, so they don't look like they're trying to be Iron Man. Okay, so you got these two guys here, and other than the fact that they come with different secondary hands here, one of them's ball, one of them's like a sword which looks backwards, and the only other difference is that they have the different squigglies, and that's the same thing for the Green Ranger release, which I'll show in a minute. I mean, there's probably some sort of difference, or some sort of little difference I missed between this and the Green Ranger one. There's always one detail that like I would never notice, like, Dawson, this gray is clearly a class 7 gray, that's a class 3, and the other one is a class 10. I can't believe what a moron you are. But for the most part, for the average person, these look the same outside of the obvious differences here. You know, there's no like different faces or different shades of gray. You know, this isn't 50 Shades of Gray, it's one, and it's called Putty. And then the same thing for the other one. So I'm gonna go over the articulation once, since they're the same mold. You have your standard articulation here. You have this hinge here, ball joint, swiveling, elbow joint, swiveling here, nice ball joint here. You got your swiveling, knee joint, hinge joint on the foot, waist and neck articulation. Well, waist and chest here, the neck's up here. Look, check out his neck down here. Damn, he's keeping that neck tight. But, you know, all the same stuff you're accustomed to. If you've ever bought a Lightning Collection figure before, you know what you're in for. It's pretty well articulated. The only loose joint problem I have to speak of is this. I do have a loose hinge joint here on this one. I think this guy, Zed, and Psycho are the only 3 loose joint ones I've had so far. I call it out, but you may not get that. You may pick this up and get no loose joints. You may have both of them with loose joints, but I figured I'd note it since it happened. But honestly, the Putty's a solid figure. Even though these are pretty unexciting for me personally, I think they're pretty solid figures and the best Putty figures we've gotten. The only other one I can think of is the original Z Putty release that broke up. Actually, there was one from the 90s, I believe, but the only other one I own is the Z Putty one. But I still think these are the best Putty Patroller figures we've gotten, if you're sort of into that, and I think they're some of the most consistent. Like, I think the head sculpts look pretty good. It's kind of hard to mess up the rest of them because it's basically just all gray with a couple little bits of black paint. I really do like the way that the stone on their gloves is done, where you kind of have the little crevices being a little bit darker. There's some nice shading go there, but it's basic, but I think it looks good. And if you're like really into putties for whatever reason and you want to do army building, I think they're good looking and consistent, even if they're not gonna, you know, knock your socks off with some of the detail and stuff. And you know, this guy is the same, unless there, again, someone could be like, oh my god, Dawson, I can't believe you didn't notice that this centimeter up eyebrow here is happening. Like, they look the same, except for this little bit here. And then obviously this accessory difference, which you can switch out, but everything else is the same. Thing about this guy though is no loose joints. But now let me just do just a quick comparison just to show you. So here we got our 2 dual pack guys that will hopefully be good boys and stand, because I always have problems with that. Come on, like, at least they will stand though. There we go. So now here we have the one from the Green Ranger 2-pack. And you can see, obviously I put different accessories on him, but unless there's some sort of minor difference that you probably won't notice unless you're really looking for it, the only difference is he also has a unique squiggly pattern, which I guess is kind of nice. So you get 3 3 different distinct looking ones, but there's really, other than that, no huge differences there. Not even like, I mean, this I guess could be on the level of Zed's painted fingernails, but it's not a fixed detail. It's just to make them look different. And this is kind of an overall weird set for me, because like I said, it's kind of boring for me. I'm not personally an army builder. I'm also an outlier where I could give a fork about villain figures. Not that I never want to see them, but unless they're Ranger related or Ranger-esque, like something like Korag, I want to see them last, and the Putties are kind of the worst example of that. But I will say, let's talk about the positives. I think these are overall solid figures. They're decent looking. They do a good job of what they're supposed to do, which is Bee's Putty. That's their only job. And if you are an army builder, this is a good option. It's a 2-pack. It's only $30, so it's like a little bit cheaper than if you were to get a normal 2-pack or just buy 2 figures outright individually. So if you're an army builder, or simply you just want 2 of them, like, I'll agree. I'm not an army builder, but if you're doing a display, I think it looks better to have like a villain in between 2 putties like Goldar or something than just a random putty on your display. So I think that that's like the best option, is pick up 1, you get 2, and if you want to army build, it makes it easier. Certainly easier than this guy, in which if you wanted to army build, you would basically have to buy a bunch of extra Green Rangers and get rid of them somehow, or keep them. And like in retrospect, with this having been done now, it was a weird choice to include the Putty in the Fighting Spirit set. Honestly, it should have just been an individual exclusive release. But that's for another time. Point is if you're an army builder, I definitely can recommend this. I think it's a good set for that. That being said, personally, and I want to know what you guys think about this, if it were me, I would have done the 2-pack as 1 regular putty and 1 Z putty. That way, you can still army build if you want to, pick up a couple, and you can army build both at the same time. And then if you're someone like me that doesn't really care so much about army building, you get to knock 2 different variations out of your collection at once. I think it would have made it a little more exciting, because while this is a nice option for someone that didn't want to pick up the Green Ranger pack for the putty, it's just kind of overall boring for me, especially since it's 2 of like 95% of the same figure. But that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.